Congratulations for actually clicking on the video. I'm sure the title is something that doesn't make any sense. And let me explain. First of all, what is a heretic? The dictionary definition says a person believing or practicing religious heresy, or a person holding opinion at odds with what is generally accepted. That's what a heretic is. Without heretics, we would have no Christian church the way we have it today. We wouldn't even have the Bible. Several of the epistles wouldn't need to be written. First, let's start with what Jesus said, something that doesn't seem to make sense. But let's look at it, and then we'll talk about some other things. Now John answered him saying, "Teacher, we saw someone who does not follow us, casting out demons in your name. And so we forbid him because he does not follow us." This is Mark 9:38 through 40. But Jesus said, "Do not forbid him, for no one who works a miracle in my name can soon after speak evil of me. For he who is not against us is on our side." Throughout the history of the Christian church, we've been more likely to kill fellow Christians than even unbelievers. And so let's look at some different groups of heretics and how they affected the Christian church. First of all, the Judaizers. The Judaizers said you had to be part of the law and follow the entire law in order to follow the Messiah, the Jewish Messiah. And so Paul spoke against this, and we had the Jerusalem Council. That Peter, who had to be told that it was acceptable for the Gentiles to follow the Jewish Messiah. Then you had the Gnostics, who believed Jesus was not a physical person. So you had to have people saying Jesus was a flesh and blood human being. Hebrews talks about that. And then there were people who said he was just an ordinary man. And so Hebrews, beginning of Hebrews, expels how Jesus is better than just an ordinary man. Marcion saw the God of the Old Testament as different from the God of the New Testament. So he created his own collection of what he considered acceptable scriptures to the new God, God of love that he followed, that he didn't reconcile with the Old Testament. And because of that, we started assembling the 66 books to what will become our Bible. Another group of heretics, the Lollards. Without this group of heretics, we would not have the English Bible. The Lollards were followers of Wycliffe. They were the first people to print the Bible in English in like the 1300s. They were not your normal average group, they're wanderers, and they held more of a Unitarian Anabaptist perspective. Then you have the Martin Luther. Martin Luther was a heretic, according to the Catholic Church. He denounced the heresies he saw in the Catholic Church. So throughout Christian history, you have people who say things that are wrong, and then you have people who respond to them. I mean, this is throughout the Bible. You have Paul talking about different groups of heretics. You have all these different people combating the heresies to tell you the truth. Without the people telling you something incorrect, they would have no reason to tell you explain the correct and defeat the incorrect views. Sometimes when we read the Bible at a ordinary Christian church or whatever type of a religious meeting we go to, when we read the Bible, we tend to get theological blinders on. What I mean by that is we think we know what the Bible is going to say, right? And because of that, something that contradicts what we think we know gets glossed over. Now, if we're in a group and there's one guy who says, well, I think what the Bible says is this, he can point out what it is that's different from you. It causes you to one, think about what he said and maybe see the Bible in a different light. Two, if he's wrong, it allows you to study and find out why he's wrong. And now you are not susceptible to whatever belief comes from that because you know the defense to that position. And without people pointing out different positions, we'll never grow in knowledge if we think we know everything already. It requires people to point out new things in order for us to grow. So not all the things that people point out have to be heresy, but if people are afraid to point out things that are different, nobody's going to ever grow. Because you don't allow other people who are listening you don't allow them to test those things for themselves and see if they're correct or not. And if they're not correct, that person who said the incorrect thing will help them not be susceptible to the incorrect thing if they study and find out why the incorrect thing is incorrect. So, as a church, we need more dissenting voices, not less. The problem is that whatever group we get into tends to coalesce around groupthink. We have, say, hey, I go to this type of church. So the people in that church all believe this type of thing. Well, you don't have dissenting voices in that type of church because they just go to a different church. And so nobody's able to learn new things because all the dissenting voices are silenced. And so what we've done in America is made it impossible for people to hear different opinions in a church setting. The setup of church to begin with is one man speaking, everybody listening. Where's the challenge to that? If a guy says something from the pulpit that's incorrect, what are you going to do? You can stand up and go, Yo, Pastor. That's wrong. Hold on. It says right here that you're wrong. It says right here you're wrong. It says right here you're wrong. No, that's not the way American church is set up. Now, different settings such as Bible studies, you were able to have more of an opportunity to say there's difference of opinions. Let's present those. But a traditional church setting, if someone speaks error from the pulpit, you have no opportunity. You have no society acceptable opportunity to combat that. I believe we need people that speak different things in order to be able to grow. Okay, give you one example in America. Joel Osteen. Now, most people, when they hear Joel Osteen, they go, why? When they hear what he says, right? And they know that doesn't fit with this. He's a heretic, right? What did you learn from that reaction? And you hearing other people saying the same things about Joel Osteen? Well, if you like Joel Osteen, you don't listen. But most people, when they say, okay, well, what he says is this, and this is why that's incorrect. So Joel Osteen has helped people evaluate his message and judge it to be false or not. So if you hear something similar, you know the argument against what he has to say. So that's an example of an American heretic. Okay. You hear lots of different types of things. Now, I was talking with my brother and my sister, and one of them said, well, that's good for you. You guys are kind of into that stuff. Now, I believe it's the responsibility of every Christian to test things and know what their faith is for real. That's not the responsibility of a few. That's the responsibility of every person to work out your own salvation. Not the pastor works out your salvation for you. Your teacher works out your salvation for you. You got to find out what you believe, and you got to know it. And the only way to know it is through hearing things that you disagree. If you never hear things you disagree with, one, you'll never learn. And your faith won't be solid. You won't be a house based on rock. Because a house based on rock is ready to be tested. A house based on sand can't handle testing. So, wow, 13 minutes of me blathering. I didn't get you verses for all these because I just kind of wanted to talk. So, and congratulations for making it this far. I don't know if anybody will, but it's important.